Welcome back to Real-ationship Goals, a podcast all about exploring the realities and complexities of healthy relationships. Real-ationship Goals is a project of the Prevention and Education team at the Advocacy Center for Crime Victims and Children in Waco, Texas. If you or someone you know has experienced sexual violence or harassment and is seeking support services or needs more information, links to resources and our hotline number can be found in the description. The views expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect those of their organizations or affiliates.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Real-ationship Goals. My name is Mónica. I use they, she pronouns.
My name's Elsie. I use she, her pronouns.
My name is Ariana, and I use she, her pronouns.
All right, so today's episode, our topic is a media analysis of the Drake and Kendrick beef. And today we're going to be talking about two songs in particular. We are talking about Meet the Grams by Kendrick Lamar and Family Matters by Drake. And me and Elsie will be going line per line. We'll kind of be going back and forth, taking little breaks before and talking about him. Talking about what we talked about, the lines that we chose before we go to the next person. You'll see how it makes sense. Okay. I can go first. So I forgot the chronological order of when these songs came out. I don't know. This one came out first. Golly.
That was third.
So
and then he released a fourth one, and then Family Matters.
She's educated. So I'll start with the first thing that I highlighted. We're not going line per line, as in everything. We're just highlighting some of the parts that we thought were important. So talking about Kendrick talking about Drake being a sick man with sick thoughts. He's addressing Drake's dad in this. So he says, your son's a sick man with sick thoughts. Later says him and Weinstein, which is Harvey Weinstein. I was going to say Harry. Harvey Weinstein.
That may be right.
No, I think it's Harvey.
Okay.
Should be in a cell for the rest of their life. Then he goes and talks about how Drake hates Black women, hypersexualizes them, and things of that sort. So we can start there. So again, Drake is a sick man, sick thoughts. Him and Weinstein should be together in a cell for the rest of their lives. And that he hates Black women and hypersexualizes them. So he's grouping Harvey Weinstein. Do y'all know Harvey Weinstein?
Not quite familiar with Harvey Weinstein.
He was a producer or, oh man, I forgot what his title was, but he was in Hollywood, did a lot of movies with people, but he assaulted a bunch of women. The Me Too movement had been going on for a while, and then when everything came up from Harvey Weinstein, it kind of, the Me Too movement got changed up a little bit, where people were like saying, like, me too, it happened to me too. And his court cases had a lot to do with that. So yeah, it's a bunch of that, of like, people still worked with him, people stopped talking to him. He's in jail now, I think, because he did get found guilty. But I could be wrong on some of that stuff, so don't quote me. But anyway, so he's pairing them up together, kind of insinuating that he's also an abuser, that Drake is also an abuser.
I think with that line itself, it shows how sometimes in the music industry, people will go into depth to try to find horrible things about people and make light of serious situations in order to try to like get like revenge against another person. And it kind of shows like how the music industry has changed, and when we're listening to things, like, we don't necessarily like listen into depth of what they're saying, because we're like, oh, it's just a line of a song, they're just being funny or whatever. But when you actually sit and look at the lines of the song,
Yeah, you
see how serious the song is, and you see the kind of accusations that these people are saying about the next rapper or whoever they're talking about. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think it's wild because Not Like Us is another diss in this whole beef made by Kendrick Lamar towards Drake. And they're playing that in middle schools, elementary schools, and the kids are just singing it. They don't even know what it's about. But it's just catchy. It's just catchy. So going back to what you were saying about people just listen, but they're hearing it, but they're not listening.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But Elsie, go ahead.
I mean, that one, you said that one was addressed to
His dad.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So throughout Meet the Grams, like Kendrick is addressing each verse to different parts of
Drake's
Drake's
family.
family. And so on this one, there's quite a few lyrics that are addressed to his wife, but for this part, I kind of wanted to go to there's a lyric in Drake's song that says, "We could have left the kids out of this, don't blame me." And so, like, kind of just the fact that he was willing to also go after Kendrick's family just because Kendrick went after his first, I think. But I just wanted to bring that up before I went into this part. But there's a lyric in here that kind of, I don't want to say it on here, but it talks about Drake saying that Kendrick cheats on his wife a lot, and then saying, like, I want to know what Whitney needs, saying that, like, he would go after not like that, but, like, you know what I'm trying to say, like, go after Kendrick's wife. And then it says, your baby mama captions always screaming, save me.
I wonder what her captions did say. I don't think I ever looked into
know.
her captions. Can you say it again? I'm so sorry.
Which part? There was like 6 lyrics.
I know, I'm so sorry. Let me see. Let me see which ones I'm referring to. Could have let the kids out of this. Don't blame me. This is from Drake. Yeah, because he addressed all his family. Because it literally says, Dear Adonis. Then he talks about his dear Sandra, which is his mom. Then Dennis, which is his dad. And then also Dear Baby Girl, which Kendrick believes Drake has a hidden daughter somewhere. And you're talking about baby mama captions always scream and save me. Yeah, because is it this song? Wait, I'm getting confused. Hold on. Drake said Kendrick beats on his wife.
Yes.
And Drake is saying that her lyrics are saying save me. Gotcha. I think I'm getting confused. I'm getting names and this is mixed up. Anyways.
But when you are talking about certain lines in these songs, it's almost like they use these songs in different parts of these songs, attack certain parts of their families to, I don't know what you call it, to gain attention from people from the outside world.
Yes.
And we always say, we talk about it within groups, it's like you can't believe everything you hear. And it goes back to when we're listening to these songs and, oh, it's just a fun, catchy little song. But at the same time, it's like you're not realizing what kind of information is being put out when you're listening to these songs, right? And in the music, it kind of feels like, I forgot what else I was trying to say.
It's okay.
I lost my thought.
I was gonna say something along those lines of not believing everything. Also, we don't know these people.
Yeah.
Like, who? Dang, I'm getting confused. Drake said that Kendrick beats his wife. Who knows? That's the thing. I'm not gonna put this man on a pedestal. But the thing to me, again, we're in prevention, is was anything done before this? Or y'all are just talking about it now so y'all can get attention? That's right. That's my thing. That's my whole thing with all of this is, which I can go to my next one where Kendrick was like, I've been in this industry 12 years and I'm gonna tell y'all a little secret. It's some weird stuff going on and these artists are here to police it. They're streamlining victims all into their home and calling them tender. All these things basically. And then another one before that says he got sex offenders on OVO, I won't say what he said, but OVO is Drake's label that he keeps on a monthly allowance. So like he's having predators around him all the time. He said he's been in this industry 12, Kendrick said he's been in this industry for 12 years. Drake apparently has weirdos in his label. Was there anything done before that? Or are you just saying that now that you have a moment, now that you have a spotlight? Like that's my whole thing with this whole thing is what was done prior. But again, we don't know these people. They could have been talking about this, I don't know, at homes over dinner. I don't know. But yeah, that's the lyric that I wanted to point out too. Any thoughts?
Yeah, like going into what you were saying, like what was done prior? Because it's like when you're thinking about this, we listen to songs like this, adults listen to songs like this. It's like we pay attention to those things, and it's like you don't realize the impact that it has on certain groups of people. So you're saying this, but has anything been addressed before? So you're bringing light to this, and it's a serious matter. And it's just, I don't know, it's very interesting because, for one, I don't even know how that started, like their beef with each other. It's just, they just came out randomly, the songs,
Yeah,
and it's
'cause
just
they
been a
were
back and forth type of thing.
they were like doing collaborations first, and then there was just like a huge diss track.
I'm obviously out of the loop because I thought they were friends until it happened recently. And when me and Elsie were looking through stuff and I was looking for timelines, I was like, oh, this goes back like what, 2012, 2011. It's like, oh, I thought they were friends.
This goes back some years.
Yeah. You can go ahead and go.
Yeah, I mean, this next one's just really short, but in this song, Drake says, "I'll kill you for fun," which personally is just not, I don't think it's a great message to put out into the world because, as Ariana said, like people are listening to the lyrics. Some people are listening to the lyrics, some people are just listening to the music as a whole. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
These Drake and, because that's Drake's.
Mhm.
That's Drake's song. Drake has a huge platform. He also has a son who is very young. So just thinking about role models, celebrities have always probably, even before I was even born, had a lot of influence, but even more now with social media in our hands and youth's hands. Like I said, like these songs are being played at elementary school dances just because it's catchy. It's being played on video games, all these different things. And yeah, like you said, it's literally I'll kill you for fun. In whatever context, they could just take that out and just kind of roll with it.
And repetition. The more that these songs are being played out into the world in schools and stuff like that for the youth to hear, certain attitudes and behaviors can be adopted. So it's like that's why it's so important to, when you're listening to songs, to be analyzing them and seeing what kind of messages are being put out in the world, because you might not notice it right there and then, but along the lines and as the repetition of the songs keep being played, certain behaviors and attitudes can be adopted. And it's very popular, and it's towards the youth. I hear more youth talk about these songs more than I hear adults. So it's like, okay, so there is going to be a very, very big impact when it comes to these songs and what kind of attitudes and beliefs are adopted from them when these youth get older.
Yeah, and something that I've heard a lot of the youths talk about nowadays, and it's almost like a funny thing now, is like, oh, I'm finna crash out. I'm finna crash out. Like I'm finna act a fool and things like that. Basically, like I'm literally about to not not throw a fit, but literally like get violent, be angry and be physical with it. Like, oh, I'm finna crash out, and kids do that as a joke now, and it's really because like it's being repetitive. Yeah, it's like constantly showed to them, and they just adopted it, ran with it, and now it's like a funny thing. And I hear kids talk about it a lot. And I hate the word normalized because I'm like, everything is normalized this, normalized that, whatever. But it's like really normalized where I hear it with the youth that I'm with. that I'm gonna crash out. And it could be something so simple of like, I'm just getting annoyed. Like it's not as extreme as a crash out, but it's like they're adopting that language. And anyways, that's a whole different soapbox. I can go to this is the last thing I have highlighted. Like I said earlier, Kendrick believed that Drake has a hidden daughter. And so in this part of the song, he was addressing the daughter. This is kind of getting a switch, and it's kind of well, I think he's referring to like daddy issues. And it just reads, I never want to hear you chase a man because of his, as in Drake's, feral behavior, sitting in the club with sugar daddies for validation. And I thought that was interesting going back to like he didn't want to bring the families in. Obviously, Meet the Grams is literally addressing his whole family. But I think the concept of daddy issues is really interesting. Maybe a pro in all of this beef, though, is that it's bringing up a lot of different topics. So abuse of women, they're using it for entertainment. Yes, that is a con, but it's being brought up. More people are having conversations about it. How they're having those conversations, who knows? But I feel like it's being talked about more. This is also like talking about the impacts of like men's behaviors on their children. We were talking about, the youth just right now, but this is specific to a daughter that he believes he has. I think that's a con. I mean, again, he's using it for entertainment. Excuse me, that's a pro, but he's using it for entertainment, which is a con. So I did want to highlight, I mean, this song is very, very long, and I have this in like 0.3 fonts. So there's so much in this, and these are only two of the so many songs that have been put out. So I know I'm missing so many things that were covered. Do you have anything else that you wanted to add?
Just there's two more like sections of the song where Drake again brings up that Kendrick abuses his wife, and the last line in the song is "You're dead."
That's it.
The last line of the song is "You're dead."
It's the picture you paint, it ain't what it seemed, you're dead. And then the song ends.
Like he's done. He's done for. And like again, that could be taken of like your career's done. No one's gonna believe you. But kids, depending on how they want to take it, they could take it literal and just run with it.
Different realm.
Yeah.
I feel like with these two artists and the series of the songs that they have, of diss tracks going back and forth with each other, it shows how when they were doing collaborations from 2012, how a relationship can change.
That too, yeah.
And also a pro in them doing these series of diss tracks towards another, they bring up a lot of things that are hidden. So trauma, abuse, just a lot of attitudes and beliefs of how people should treat one another. And our youth are listening to it.
Yeah.
And then also personally for them, it impacts their kids and how they adapt to the world and how they adapt to the world viewing them in their lives. So I think this beef is a very interesting thing going on. I don't know if it's still going on right now, but if it is,
we're so out of the loop.
I'm so out of the loop with them, but I know only little bits and pieces of it. But it is an interesting thing because now that it is being brought up and conversations are being had, people can get more into the realm of being able to be more accountable and responsible when it comes to listening to whatever they're listening to. Because the music has shifted. I would say back in the early 2000s, I've never heard of no songs like this before. This more goes into personal and morals and values of how they see each other. So it's kind of different now. I've definitely seen a change in that.
I think it's really interesting because when this happened, they were like, wow, rap is back. Because, I mean, back in the day, like Biggie and Tupac, they would do disses and it got real personal, real ugly, real quick. Excuse me. And when this happened, now, because Kendrick is not the only person that dissed Drake. It was Future, it was The Weeknd, it was Megan Thee Stallion. there were so many disses going on. And then the Megan Thee Stallion and Nicki Minaj disses were happening so close together too. And everyone's like, wow, rap is back. And I was like, okay. But something that I was gonna say, going back to maybe a pro, I'm thinking is, say someone on Drake's side hears Kendrick beats his wife and they believe it. They're like, oh my gosh, that's so wrong. But I wonder if they would carry that same, that is so wrong, if it was one of their loved ones. Like, what if their friends beat on their girlfriends? Do they also think that's wrong, or are they gonna kind of shut it out? Or is it only wrong because your favorite rapper said so? So I wonder if those conversations are gonna come up. I'm thinking of like maybe the pros of this, of like I said, these two songs and what we talked about showed just like a little bitty piece of all of it, because we were talking beforehand. It talks about obviously like abuse against women, infidelity, am I saying that right? Fetishizing, also like there was bits of transphobia, all these different things. And I wonder how that will spark conversations with people. Right now, it's like they're idolizing these rappers. Like, oh, Drake is better. Oh, Kendrick's better. So they'll defend them and whatever it is. I see Drake is being accused of a lot of pedophilia, and people are defending Drake and things like that or whatever. But maybe they're not defending Drake. Like, maybe what if they're like, oh, like that is kind of weird. But will they carry that outside of these people they don't know? Like, what about the people they do know, if they'll carry that same energy of maybe holding their people accountable? Maybe if they weren't holding people accountable before, maybe this sudden interest in their favorite rap beef, maybe it'll change them. But yeah, do y'all have any final thoughts? All right. I will go ahead and introduce the recommendation. My recommendation for this episode is to not be like J. Cole. J. Cole was in the Kendrick and Drake beef for like a split second because he dissed Kendrick on behalf of Drake, realized he messed up, apologized publicly, maybe like 24 or 48 hours after, I don't even know, like days after, and was like, hey, I'm wrong. So my recommendation is rethink the beef that you're stepping into. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? And I will turn it to Ariana, who is gonna share the goal.
Yeah, so our relationship goal for this episode is being more aware in analyzing your music. Yes, we love music. Everybody loves music. Listening to different artists can be fun. But really being aware of the lyrics that you're retaining and the information that you're retaining is so important, because in some form or fashion, it does impact how we have conversations with people, how we treat people and things of that nature. So that is the relationship goal.
All right. Well, thank y'all for tuning in and joining us. If you want to keep up with us, please follow us on our Instagram, which is ACCVC_prevention. And then we also have at Advocacy Waco on Instagram. You can also follow us on Facebook. It's Advocacy Waco. But yeah, that's everything. Thank y'all. Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Real-ationship Goals. This episode was produced by the Prevention and Education Department of the Advocacy Center for Crime Victims and Children in Waco, Texas. Interested in more content from PNE or the Advocacy Center? You can follow us on Instagram at ACCVC_prevention or on Instagram and Facebook at Advocacy Waco. Be sure to like this episode and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Bye.